You want the secret. The real secret. People are always looking for the magic pill, the hidden crypto coin, or the fast track. They want the shortcut. But the secret isn't about working harder. It's not even about being naturally smarter or talented. It's about doing one specific thing that 99% of people are simply too lazy to do. I spent years grinding, burning out, and staying broke. I thought hard work was the answer. I was working 12 hours a day, taking every shift, saying yes to everything, and getting nowhere. I was running in quicksand. I was exhausted, and my bank account was empty. Then I heard Brian Tracy talk about the law of integrative complexity. Sounds fancy, right? It sounds academic. But it's actually simple, and it's the single habit that took him from a struggling salesman washing dishes to a wealthy man before he turned 40. Today, I'm breaking down this habit so you can steal it. I am going to show you exactly how to apply it, the math behind why it works, and why ignoring this is the reason you are still stuck in the same place you were last year. Brian Tracy didn't start rich. He didn't have a trust fund. He started as a day laborer. He worked in the fields. He worked on construction sites. He washed dishes in the back of a hotel kitchen. He was doing hard work. Physically, he was working harder than the CEO of the company. But he was broke. He realized early on a fundamental truth: to earn more, you must learn more. He noticed something interesting when he finally got into sales. He noticed that the top salespeople in his company, the ones driving the new cars and wearing the nice suits, weren't working 10 times harder than the poor ones. They didn't have 10 times the number of hours in the day. They didn't have 10 times the customers. They didn't have 10 times the territory. They just knew things the others didn't. They knew how to handle objections smoothly. They knew the psychology of persuasion. They knew how to close without being pushy. They had better software installed in their brains. Brian realized that if he wanted to change his income, he didn't need to change his job, he needed to change his mind. He needed to upgrade his mental operating system. Most people stop learning the day they leave school. They throw their graduation cap in the air and say, "I'm done." No more books. No more studying. They think they are finished. And that is the exact moment they begin to die financially. In the 21st century, if you are not learning, you are dying. Knowledge is the new currency. If you aren't upgrading your software, you are running on Windows 95 in an AI world. You are trying to load modern apps on an old operating system, and you are crashing. So, how do you do this practically? Brian Tracy developed a concept called University on Wheels. Think about the math here. It is frightening. According to the American Automobile Association, the average person spends between 500 to 1,000 hours a year in their car. They are commuting to work, driving to the store, driving the kids to school. Let's do the math. 500 to 1,000 hours. That is 12 to 24 full, 40-hour work weeks sitting behind a steering wheel. That is 3 to 6 months of work time wasted. More importantly, that is equivalent to 1 to 2 full-time university semesters. Now, ask yourself, what is the average person doing during that time? They are listening to the radio. They are listening to the news, which makes them angry, anxious, and fearful. Or they are listening to the same top 40 songs over and over again. Despacito is not going to make you rich. The news is not going to make you rich. They are wasting years of their lives staring at brake lights, letting garbage fill their minds. Brian Tracy turned his car into a classroom. He turned his commute into his competitive advantage. He said, turn your car into a learning machine. If you just listen to audiobooks on sales, management, negotiation, or personal finance during your commute, you would have the equivalent of a PhD in your field within 3 to 5 years. Without stepping foot on a campus. Without paying a dime in tuition. Are you listening to the radio, letting garbage fill your mind? Or are you learning how to get rich? The second part of this habit is reading. Brian says if you read just 1 hour per day in your chosen field, that translates to about 1 book per week. 1 book per week is 50 books a year. If you read 50 books a year in your field, you will be a national expert in 5 years. You will be in the top 1% of income earners in your country. Why? Because the average person reads less than 1 non-fiction book a year. The average CEO reads 60 books a year. Do you see the correlation? By reading 1 hour a day, you are gaining a massive, unfair advantage. You are lapping everyone else on the track. I started doing this. I started reading books on marketing every morning. At first, it was boring. My brain fought me. It wanted to scroll Instagram. It wanted the dopamine hit of a funny video. Reading felt like a chore. It felt like work. But I forced myself. I treated it like medicine. I have to take this to get better. Then, something amazing happened. After about 3 books, I started connecting dots my competitors couldn't see. I started understanding why things worked. I wasn't just working blindly, I was strategizing. I was playing chess while they were playing checkers. Imagine you are a salesperson. Your competitor watches Netflix all night. You read a book on advanced negotiation tactics. The next day, you both walk into a client meeting. Who is going to win? It's not a fair fight. You have a weapon he doesn't even know exists. Knowledge is power, but only if you acquire it. Here is where it gets crazy. This is what Brian calls integrative complexity. Knowledge compounds just like compound interest in a bank account. When you learn one new idea, it stands alone. But when you learn a second idea, it connects to the first one. Now you have a synthesis. A sales technique you learn today combines with a negotiation tactic you learn tomorrow, which combines with a productivity hack you learn next week. Suddenly, you have a breakthrough. You have an epiphany. I'll give you a real example from my life. I bought a book on pricing psychology. It cost me $20. It took me 3 hours to read. I learned one technique about how to frame a price, just one sentence called the decoy effect. I used that sentence in my next negotiation for a consulting contract. It increased my fee by $20,000. I turned $20 and 3 hours of reading into $20,000. That is a 100,000% return on investment. Where else can you get those returns? Real estate? Stocks? Crypto? No. Only in your own mind. Your mind is the only asset that can produce infinite returns. Brian Tracy spent thousands of dollars on seminars when he was broke. He would save up every penny, eat ramen noodles, sleep in his car, just to sit in the front row of a sales conference. People told him he was crazy. You can't afford that. They said. You're broke. Save your money. He said, I can't afford not to go. He understood a fundamental truth: you can learn from your own mistakes, which is painful, expensive, and slow. Or you can learn from other people's mistakes, which is cheap and fast. When you buy a course or attend a seminar, you are buying speed. You are buying decades of someone else's pain, suffering, trial, and error, compressed into days. You are buying a time machine. Don't be cheap with your future. Don't step over dollars to pick up pennies. If you can pay $500 to learn a skill that will make you $50,000 over your lifetime, that is not an expense. That is the best investment you will ever make. Cheat code your way to the top. But here is the catch. And this is the part where most smart people fail. It's not just about reading. It's not about being a knowledge hoarder. It's about doing. The habit isn't just learning, it's learning and applying immediately. Brian noticed that successful people learn something new and try it that same day. They have a bias for action. Unsuccessful people write it down and say, that's a good idea, I'll try that someday. Someday is a code word for never. Someday is a fantasy land where dreams go to die. When you learn a new closing technique, use it on your next call. It might be messy. You might screw it up. You might stutter. But you will learn. You get feedback. The faster you fail, the faster you succeed. You cannot learn to ride a bike by reading a book about physics. You have to get on the bike and fall off. So, here is the recap. The one habit that made Brian Tracy rich is aggressive, continuous learning. 1. Turn your car into a university. Audiobooks are your best friend. Stop listening to the radio. 2. Read 60 minutes a day in your field. Become the expert. 3. Apply what you learn immediately. Don't wait. Action creates results. 4. Invest in seminars and coaching. Buy speed. Buy experience. If you commit to this habit, you will leave your competition in the dust. They won't even understand how you are doing it. They will call you lucky. They will say you are gifted. But you will know the truth. You just did the homework they refuse to do. You will have answers they don't even have questions for. If this video made sense to you, smash that like button right now. Comment the word learn below and I'll send you my personal list of the top 5 books that Brian Tracy recommends to jumpstart your wealth. Subscribe and turn on the bell because tomorrow I'm revealing the hidden rule that